Hi everyone and welcome. I'm out here in my yard and I've got my outdoor compost barrel as well as my outdoor worm bin. And I've got some stuff that's going to be divvied up between the two. I'm going to feed my worms that I've got in this outdoor worm bag, and whatever doesn't go to them just goes into this compost barrel over here. Both systems have worms in them, but it's really the worms that are in that bag right there that I kind of consider as one of my active worm bins. Here, worms make their way in here on their own, as well as other creatures, and I don't really consider that as a managed worm environment. But it is oftentimes the place that I do go to get worms. For example, when I populated this system here. So, I don't know, maybe there's no difference, but that's the way I think of it. So I'm gonna get over into this bin right here. I'm gonna bring over something that I could prop the camera onto so that I don't have to hold the tripod in my hand, and then I can go grab a glove. I'm gonna need that too, and then we can get to feeding this bin. I'm definitely curious to see how things are progressing here within this system, because the last time we were in here, which was, I don't know, maybe about a week and a half ago, we had fed a number of things that I thought would definitely do a good job of luring the worms in. Things like avocados, stuff like tomatoes, a number of different things that I thought would definitely draw a nice crowd of worms into the feeding area. So I'm anxious to see what kind of a turnout we've got in here. Every time I see one of these black soldier fly larvae, it makes me wonder if the season for them has returned. But I know that they were in here last year. Oh, I can never tell. I mean, sometimes I wonder if one of these has kind of gone dormant and is just waiting for the chance for the weather to turn around and become comfortable enough that it would emerge, or has the is that just like the outer husk of one that has already pupated, turned into a black soldier fly. So I mean, there's another one. Just interesting that they were right on the surface. But I always kind of expect to start seeing black soldier fly activity in my worm bins once the weather starts to warm up again. I just don't know if it's gotten warm enough yet for that to occur. Luckily, the worms are still quite active in here, even if the black soldier flies haven't really started getting active in here. And I was actually, that was one of my main concerns, was I thought about using worms out of this system to populate a new worm bin inside, because I'm fairly certain what occupies this system is red wiggler worms. Oh, is that a tomato? No, it's some sort of a seed, maybe an avocado seed. I think I bumped into this last time I was in here. I just couldn't tell what the heck it was. But from the look of the inside of it, it might be just the avocado seed out of a tiny avocado. So yeah, I mean, I had thought about trying to recruit worms out of this system and then use them to kind of get my my wormery repopulated with red wigglers, because I recently pretty much lost all of my red wiggler worms. And it was my idea to possibly get some out of this system, and I figured maybe some of the delicious foods that I was putting in here would draw a whole bunch of worms, and then we'd be able to maybe pull some out of here. But I wasn't really intending to do that today. I just wanted to see how things are progressing, and I figured after more than a week, I thought maybe some of these food items might be running low. But I mean, it looks to me like this avocado still has a good amount of the fleshy material within the shell. I think there was another half of an avocado placed in here too. This might just be like paper, maybe a paper towel, some sort of extra bedding that was placed in here. You can also see there's a whole bunch of tomatoes that were placed in here as well. I think this is maybe just another napkin, just a colorful napkin. So these paper items were placed in here as supplemental bedding, just a couple napkins that I had laying around, used napkins. My mom sometimes puts those colorful napkins out on the table, and then after just wiping my mouth once or twice, I always feel like I want to kind of hang on to a napkin for a little while longer to see if I can get a couple more uses out of it before throwing it away. And then sometimes I even stack them up and think to myself that it might be kind of cool to use them as bedding in my worm systems. Interesting how this avocado has a really major turnout of worms in it, while this one hardly has any. I wonder why that is. You could probably hear the wind whipping the trees around me back and forth. I was out here earlier cutting the grass and stuff like that, and putting things away in the yard, and moving some of my planters around and stuff, and trying to get things arranged here since Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and I didn't want to leave this place kind of disheveled, so I thought I'd try to spruce it up a little bit, so that when the unofficial start of summer rolls in on Monday, that this yard starts to look a little bit nicer than just kind of a gardening experiment gone awry. But I got to admit, I thought I'd find a little bit more of a worm turnout here with these avocados and stuff. I mean, you could definitely see that there's a good number of worms pretty much anywhere you look in the material, and they have mobbed together nicely within this avocado, but that's pretty much the only place you're seeing a mob of worms. I thought I'd see more mobs of worms hanging together, but maybe I just didn't provide them with an enticing enough variety of foods. But I've got a whole bag of different stuff that I can throw in here for them, so maybe we can kind of pick up where we left off and give them back some of these tasty morsels that they're already working on here. These bits of avocado, and then we could scatter these bedding bits back around where they came from, back into this feeding area. Here's this mango seed. There was another one here too, one that just wasn't nearly as broken down as this one. This one's pretty much near the end at this point, but I figure we drop in the old food and then plop in some of this new stuff right on top of it. What do we have here? This stuff is all compliments of my mom. I bought some of it home the other day, and then I bought even more of it home yesterday. And I'm not even 100% sure of what all this stuff is. I mean, this stuff I think is chunks of cabbage. Some of the harder bits that were kind of shaved off to leave only the really loose, soft, leafy portions. So I think that stuff looks pretty delectable and juicy. So I'm going to give them that. I think that other bag that I had in my hand before was just potato peels, which somehow just didn't seem quite as delectable. I don't even know what this is. I didn't really ask either. I just sort of took whatever she had for me and I brought it home. This looks like just a variety of different things. Let's see if we can get a better look at what it is. These might be apple peels, so they should be pretty popular. Some green beans, obviously. So I mean, right away we've already got ourselves a nice generous portion of food here. And like I said, whatever I don't feel that I want to add into here today, I'm just going to put that into my regular compost barrel, where all of my kitchen scraps normally go anyway. And then everything eventually gets broken down nicely, so I get to cherry pick all the really yummy looking stuff to give to the managed worm bins, and then everything else just eventually makes its way into my regular compost heap. And this, I don't know, it looks like just more potato peels. Yeah, which it doesn't seem all that interesting, so I think I'm going to put that all into the regular compost container as well. So this is a pretty nice feeding for this container here after about a week and a half, and they do seem to have done a pretty good job of making their way through the previous portion, although you can still see there's tomatoes in here, obviously leftover chunks of the avocado we had given them last time. So I always assume that it's going to take a little bit of time for certain food items to break down to the point where the worms can really start taking advantage of it. So they'll obviously keep working on the stuff that they've had for a while, and then in time all those new added food items should become stuff that they can start enjoying as well. So this might just be more of the stuff that I excavated earlier, mango pit, the one that's not quite as broken down. And you can see there's a lot of peanut shells in here too, among other things. I usually don't take that much care in picking and choosing the stuff that go into these systems, but in this system I've been starting to sense that it might be time to think about harvesting the castings, moving the worms into new locations. So here I've been trying to maybe you know, pick stuff that would be a little bit easier to break down, and stuff that might be a little bit more tempting for the worms to rip into. But I think that's it for this bin here. I guess I'll start bringing back some of these covering items. In the past I had always just kind of covered up with this plastic with the intention of holding in some of the moisture that's in there. And then this piece of wood did a pretty good job protecting the contents of the container from curious animals trying to come by to treat themselves to a little bit of whatever they can pick out of here around the edges. So a lot of times I'll come in here and I'll find a lot of peanut shells and whatnot scattered across the top from some sort of critters that are coming in here trying to scavenge whatever they can. And that's the reason I've been starting to use this little chunk of plywood here to serve as a little bit more of a cover to keep all the passerby animals out of the system, and hopefully you know, leave the system undisturbed so that the worms can compost in peace. So that's where I stand now with my outdoor worm bag. I don't even call it a worm bin, it's a worm bag. And I guess you can see it's starting to rain. The drops are beginning to come down, so I've still got to dump in the remainder of the stuff that I've got over here into the compost barrel, and then take shelter before the rain begins. So that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to leave me a thumbs up. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel too. That's really appreciated as well. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.